Hello everybody, welcome back. In this small segment of Microsoft Excel, I'm going to teach you how to create a short inventory list. This is something that will have several abilities that you'll need to know how to do. So let me start by deleting this one, and let me change everything back. Well, I'll just create a new one. That'll be a little quicker. Okay. So let's say you've been tasked at your job to create a short inventory list. So all we have to do, let's type a few things. Let's do inventory ID. Notice it's a little bigger than I want. I'll have to fix that in just a minute. Name. Let's see. Description. Unit price. Quantity, and feel free to be typing along as I'm going, and let's just leave it at that. Let's say that's enough. So here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to make each one big enough that I can see the whole name, because that's silly if you can't see the whole name. And later I'll show you how to set it up to automatically make sure that everything shows. So let's say the inventory ID for this one is 001, and the next. Now notice that it just put a 1. I put 001 and it just put a 1. That's because this cell is currently set up to be a number, and by default, zeros before a number are the same as not having the 0, so it leaves it out for to make it a little easier. And I'm going to fix that later, but for now let's just keep it simple. Let's say this is unit number 2 or ID number 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just pushing down after each one after I type what I want to get the box to go on down. And let's say these are car parts. Let's say tires, and I hit the enter key, it moves down. And let's say windows, doors, seats, and I don't know, antenna. Now I realize this would be a really crummy inventory, but for our example it's perfect. So tires, our description is round and made of rubber. Windows, flat, made of glass. Doors, let's say door shaped, metal. And seats, standard, or actually let's do bucket seats, because that's all we're going to have right now. And for the antenna we'll do long with ball on top. And notice again that some of these didn't fit. Okay, earlier I promised to show you how to make sure that everything shows up. Let's do that now. To highlight a cell, I'm going to click on that cell, and then I'm going to drag whichever direction I want. And down adds more to down, across adds more to across, and let's say I want that many for now. And I'm going to come up here to the Cells tab, and there's one over here called Format. If I click on Format, I can come down to where it says Auto Fit Column Width. Remember that a column is up and down. So if I click on this, notice that now it made every column as wide as the longest thing in that column. Here the word antenna was the longest thing, so now the column is exactly that wide. And here round and made of rubber was the longest thing, so column C is that wide. Now I can still go in and make it wider or smaller. That just set it up for now. So let me show you a couple other quick things. Let's say 3.25, or well, actually these are tires, so let's say 53.25. And window, let's say, is $40. Let's say a door is $210. And bucket seats are $195. and an antenna is going to be $6.99. So what did you notice here? There's no dollar signs. So again, we're going to have to format the cell. So I'm going to highlight this column because I may want more down here depending on if I add more stuff. And I'm going to tell it to format, and I'm going to tell it cells, format cells. This brings up a dialog box that's going to let me choose exactly how I want this set up. Now I'm going to cancel out here, and I'm going to show you something else first. I could also right click on this, on the highlighted cells, and I could come down here and do format cells, and it would bring up the same dialog box. So that's helpful because sometimes if you're on other tabs doing other stuff, you might not want to come back to this tab and everything else, so you can just right click on it. So right now it's set up for general, which means it's going to have text, it's going to have numbers, it's going to have whatever I want. If I set it to a number, then a number, like I said a while ago, 001 would be 1, because I haven't told it to do anything different. If I want these cells to be currency, I would click on currency, and now it's going to give me some options. Do I want to have decimal places? Well, sure. I mean, because everything I do might have change added to it, $6.99. So I could, if I only wanted one decimal place, or if I wanted more, I can't imagine doing that with currency for the most part, but who knows? And then this is how you want it to display. If it's a negative, do you want it to have the number but with a negative sign? Most of the time, people choose this option here. If it's a negative, it'll have parentheses around it. But you can also tell it to have parentheses and be red if it's a negative. And although these prices can't be negative, there's always a chance that later on you might need this. So just be aware that it's a possibility. And I'm going to click OK. And now it put the dollar sign there. If I chose to put a negative 6.21, it's going to turn it red and put it in parentheses, which is nice. Especially if I'm keeping track of monthly income versus monthly outcome. If I have negative, I want it to turn red and show me. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I was only doing it to show you the difference. And let's say quantity 2. There's 6 of these, there's 4 of these, there's 1 of these, there's 8 of these. So again, notice that just like before, there's no dollar sign, but this is a quantity, so I wouldn't want a dollar sign. I'm going to go ahead and stop there so that on the next segment I can use this to continue. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next segment.